India today has accessed the first information report filed by the army in the Bathinda firing incident. The FIR has been filed by Major Ashutosh Shukla, and this FIR has been filed with the Bathinda police. The FIR has been filed against two unidentified attackers. The FIR records the fact that 4 soldiers were killed in their sleep by these two attackers at the Bathinda Military Station. The two attackers came wearing a white kurta pajama. They were in plain clothes. There is also an eyewitness who spotted the two attackers, but from the information we've been able to gather, the attackers were spotted from a distance. One of the attackers was armed with a weapon, a gun. The other had a sharp-edged axe-like weapon, a sharp-edged weapon with him. The attackers who targeted a medium regiment location in Bathinda also had their faces covered. They were wearing a mask. The two suspected attackers, sadly, are still at large. The operation to neutralize them continues at the Bathinda Military Station. 4 soldiers were killed at 4:35 this AM and 4:35 AM today, and they are from the 80 Medium Regiment of the Indian Army. 2 of those 4 are believed to be from Tamil Nadu and 2 others from Karnataka, and all the 4 soldiers killed had barely 3 years military service. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We will get you the latest as Army uses drones and troops on ground to ensure that the shooters are neutralized. The INSAS 5.56 rifle, we are told, has been recovered. 19 spent shells have also been recovered. I'll get you much more on this very disturbing story, but first, as always, the headlines. A day after meeting Lalu Yadav, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar meets Mallikarjun Kharge, Rahul Gandhi and Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi, says the meeting is historic for opposition unity. Heartburn, protests and dissent within the BJP after its first list for Karnataka has announced. Former Chief Minister Jagdish Shettar meets JP Nadda after being dropped. Former Deputy Chief Minister Sawadi quits the BJP. Sachin Pilot in Delhi a day after holding a dharna against Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot government in Rajasthan. The Chief Minister says his government is acting on corruption, says the real focus is on providing relief from inflation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi flags off the Vande Bharat Express in Rajasthan, says railways developed after 2014. Ashok Gehlot hits back, says Modi attacking past ministers, which incidentally included BJP leaders too. Umesh Pal murder accused Mafia Don Atiq Ahmed reaches Prayagraj. Enforcement Directorate seizes over 75 lakh rupees in cash, 200 bank accounts and 50 shell companies that were used by the Don turned Neta to launder extorted money. The firing at the Bathinda Military Station, one of the largest in the country, was reported at 4:35 this morning. The entire area was immediately cordoned off. Just 2 days earlier, the army had reported that an INSAS, Indian Small Arms System, 5.56 rifle and 28 rounds were missing. This morning, an eyewitness reported spotting 2 men coming out of the barracks near the officers' mess after hearing gunshots. The 2 men were in plain clothes. They were masked. One of them, it seems, carried a gun. The other carried a sharp-edged weapon, perhaps an axe. Sadly, the 2 are still at large. India Today's Manjeet Sehgal is in Bathinda. He gets us this report.
4:35 AM, Wednesday morning. Gunshots heard at the Bathinda Military Station in Punjab. The shooting triggered panic. An alert was sounded immediately. The area completely cordoned off. Hours later, the Indian Army confirmed 4 Jawans were killed in the shootout.
Punjab police has sounded a high alert in entire Bathinda district after the firing incident that took place inside this military station at 4:35 today morning. We can see this road has been sealed and many other roads in Bathinda, particularly the roads linking the military stations, have been sealed. The statement issued by the Southwest Command.
The army in a statement said that there were no other injuries or damage to property. They confirmed that an INSAS, Indian Small Arms System rifle, had been missing for the past 2 days. The army said quick reaction teams were activated immediately after the dawn shooting. The Punjab police have ruled out a terror angle.
जी जो आर्मी का खुद का सर्च ऑपरेशन ऑलरेडी चल रहा है
कोई आतंकी हमले जैसी संभावना तो नहीं
जी नहीं ऐसी कोई संभावना नहीं है अभी
With terror ruled out, investigators now suspect fratricide. Fratricide is an act of a soldier killing his brothers in arms. The shooting has once again put the focus on the rise in incidents of fratricide in the uniformed forces. There have been as many as 18 incidents of such killings in the Indian Army and 2 in the Indian Air Force between 2014 and March 2021. With Manjeet Sehgal in Bathinda, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's try and make sense of this heartbreaking incident. The 4 soldiers killed had spent barely 3 years in military service. 2 are believed to be from Tamil Nadu, 2 others are from Karnataka. The 4 were in their early 20s. India Today's Manjeet Sehgal is on ground zero. Abhishek Bhalla and Shiv Arur both have been tracking the story very closely. Shiv Arur joins me on the broadcast, and for a military perspective on the story, we're joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General of Infantry, and Colonel Rohit Dev. He's a former mechanized infantry commanding officer. He's also a geopolitical analyst who joins us on the show. Manjeet, I want to begin by asking you, what more do we know of the attackers? Have they been identified? You've accessed the FIR. What more do we know of operations right now at 10 o'clock at night? What more do we know?
Well, Gaurav, as far as the operation is concerned, it is continuing. Both the police and their military counterparts are on it. The investigations are currently on. And as far as the attackers are concerned, their identity has not been revealed. The police has registered a case under Arms Act and a murder case against 2 unidentified persons who were covering their faces and wearing night suits, were in plain clothes when they killed the 4 Jawans and were coming out of the quarters, and they were noticed by an eyewitness who was their colleague. This is the only information available about the attackers. But as far as this case and investigation is concerned, Gaurav, there are...
Okay, go on, complete your point, sir. Go on.
Well, Gaurav, as far as the investigation is concerned, there are many unanswered questions, particularly the INSAS rifle, which was reported missing, and it has now been found with a magazine. The question is whether this rifle was used to kill these 4 Jawans or not. If this rifle was not used, then how these attackers managed to get another INSAS rifle, as the shells of INSAS rifles were bullets were
we'll
found
try and
from.
make sense of this. I want to bring in Shiv Arur. Shiv, you've been speaking to your sources both in the Army headquarters and in Southwest Command. What more have you been able to gather so far, Shiv?
Gaurav, it's over 18 hours since the incident took place, and it's pretty incredible that the search for those 2 individuals is still very much on. It's pretty disturbing to think about the fact that both the shooters, or one of the shooters, or those 2 people are still at large, either inside the Bathinda cantonment or outside it. We don't know, because only 3 statements have come out from the army so far. The last one only confirms that the weapon, an INSAS insas rifle, which had been stolen a couple of days ago, has been recovered with some missing rounds, and forensic examination is happening to see if that is indeed the rifle that was used, to kill those 4 young Jawans who were sleeping in that artillery unit mess, early in the morning today when those shots were fired. The FIR that has been lodged as part of this joint investigation by the army and the Punjab police says there were 2 attackers. One of them had an insas rifle. The other apparently had some kind of an axe. Both of them were in kurta pajama, not in combat fatigues. They were both wearing corona masks. They ran away, into a wooded area immediately after this particular attack. There were a couple of eyewitnesses who have been questioned as part of the investigation so far. But what I gather, because very little is officially coming out from the army, but what I gather, which remains still in the realm of speculation, we should tell our viewers, is that this was some kind of an internal dispute within the artillery unit. It could have pertained to some administrative issue, possibly even leave. Many of my sources are talking about leave being the bone of contention. And as outlandish and absurd as that may sound, this is something that is has been a major sticking point in many disputes in the past as well, within army units. But this particular one obviously snowballed. There may have been some aggravating factors as well, and things took this terribly, terribly violent turn. So we don't know all the facts, so we don't want to make a conclusion as far as that is concerned.
This is, Shiv, very, very disturbing. Shiv and Manjeet, stay with me. I want to bring in General Kulkarni. General, it's been 18 hours. This is a regiment in a very secure location, and inside the regiment, the attackers could still be at large. In your appreciation, and since you've been both in Kashmir, in J&K for quite some time, do CASO operations, coordinate search operations, take so much time, or is there a particular reason that the army would be moving with ultra caution right now?
Gaurav, indeed, very, very unfortunate. Something which should not have happened. Sad and bad. Having said that, I think the investigations are on. The search is on. The weapon has been found, and the weapon that was lost has been found. It isn't that any other insas has been found. The weapon that was lost has been found, and for which the FIR had been lodged by the unit concerned. So that's for sure. The investigation will further reveal, the forensic examination will reveal whether the same bullet, same weapon, everything used, that's perfectly fine. But as regards those who shot have yet not been identified. And that's something definitely of concern, because invariably a unit wouldn't have so many people you can easily identify, and you know exactly who's absent and who's not there on the roll call. So it is not very difficult to find that out. But I'm sure because it's a South Indian unit, and I'm sure everybody must be now being investigated to find out as to who it is. It will not take very long for them to know who has committed this act, but definitely there should be no rumor mongering. Definitely the general rumor, terrorists or some kind of other incidents happening or anywhere, conspiracy theories. No. I think now that the weapon has been found, and probably even the post-mortem would have revealed the kind of shots that have been fired in the individual, which would be a 5.56 if at all it has been found. And all that, I think the investigations seem to be on the right line. The chief has briefed the Raksha Mantri. The police also has come out with a statement to say that, look, it is internal. It looks more like a suicide incident that has happened. So I think, but definitely, whatever has happened, whoever has done it, and whatever be the cause, it is something which is definitely not acceptable.
Give me a moment. I want to, since you mentioned the post-mortem and the insas 5.56 gunshots, let me bring in Manjeet once again. Manjeet, you were there at the civil hospital mortuary where the post-mortem was to be conducted. Have you been able to gather something after the post-mortem of those 4 very young soldiers, I believe all in their early 20s? Manjeet, that post-mortem is over?
Yes, Gaurav, the post-mortem is over. It took 2 to 3 hours to conduct the post-mortem. The report is still awaited, but the age of these deceased soldiers is between 24 and 25. Two of them were 24 years old and 2 were 25 years old. As you said, they had just completed 3 years of their service. So the post-mortem report is being awaited, which will ascertain what type of bullets were used to kill them, Gaurav.
Colonel Dev, insas 5.56 recovered, 19 rounds, spent cartridges, the shells have been recovered. it was this weapon. Whether this weapon was used, we still do not know. But the attackers still may have the axe. Why would you think the army is moving, and is the army moving too slow in nabbing them? It's been 18 hours and the attackers are still at large, it seems.
No, I don't think so that the army would be moving slow, Gaurav. Just to put it into perspective, it's not only a case of declared or undeclared fratricide right now. If it's a case of fratricide, you could also imagine what is the SOP to handle the situation in a area where there are many higher headquarters in the same station. There is a unit which is there which has had casualties, and there is a certainty of some weapon being used and found now. So what you saw at 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m. today from the army side, is typically a sort of a brief, which we in the military parlance call it a 6 p.m. situational report. You will get a similar brief probably tomorrow morning, but a little later in the day. And my assumption is that with the process, the roll call, and trying to find certain things, and having talked to people, if not both, at least one would have been found out by now, if it's on the same unit or otherwise. And I think you will also come to know that detail. Having said that, there have been too much of speculation about this, and my fear, Gaurav, really is, and I'm thankful to your channel. I saw a clip from Miss Jessica Goel a little before at 9:30 or so. It's good that you point out what fratricide and the impact is, because the adversary on the other side is today using this incident to try and tarnish our efforts as both military and diplomatic, to say that we have been not having these incidents, but we have been blaming them. So that is a cause of concern, which I would like your media channels to highlight and focus upon as well.
No, but India Today always states facts. We state facts the way they are.
Understand. Absolutely.
If it's Pakistan state-sponsored terror in some other incident, we say so.
Happy.
In this case, we do not know.
Your man on ground, Shiv Arur with his sources, you yourself, and even a lady whom I saw, absolutely factual and what's coming out. So you are not painting with any kind of a brush, right? You're giving facts. So believe you me, that actions at hand will reveal something tomorrow to you as well by 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, maybe after some time, after the midnight briefs are through. And I think you will learn of more. But having said that, there are 4 options which I saw in the morning when the situation came up to me at 6:30 through some media channels. One was about obviously a terror attack, which I had ruled out that time.
Which fortunately it wasn't. But give me a moment. I want to stay on the current incident and what's happening right now. General, this incident is very unfortunate, but there are some hard questions that the army must answer. The most experienced army, perhaps the most battle-hardened army in dealing with terror, whether it was in Punjab or in J&K, is unable to catch 2 unidentified attackers inside a military formation. This is where things should be most secure for the army, or is there more to it than meets the eye, General?
Gaurav, it's definitely an aberration, because what happens, but as rightly brought out, there are many units there. There's a core headquarter there, joining units. Sometimes these people, but I'm sure by now, everything may not have been revealed to us. We may not be aware of so many things. But invariably, an incident like this, when you have about 500 odd troops in a regiment over there, it's not very difficult to find out, because a roll call will easily reveal as to who's there and who's not there. The weapon, like I've
would that have happened by now? It's 18 hours. A roll call would have happened?
100%, Gaurav. It would have happened by 6 o'clock only. Everything would be clear, who's missing and what it is. And there would be. But until and unless we identify who has done it, because even investigation, every individual must have been called right now and have been investigated as to what it is. Of course, it's a South Indian regiment, and it will not be difficult for them to identify who it is. If they know it, they will definitely come out of it. But yes, it is definitely a cause of concern, because if there are 2 people or 1 or whoever has done it, because something which has gone amiss. And something that has gone amiss needs investigation. And nothing will come out so easily. No loose statements must be made. No rumor mongering should take place, because definitely it's an internal thing and will be sorted out. And I'm sure the army wouldn't want to give a statement without finally confirming who it is. Because the unit definitely knows. There's no denying the fact that if there are 2 men missing, would they not know? Even if one man is missing,
what is a cause for concern, Colonel Rohitdev? And before I bring in Manjeet once again, what would be a cause for concern? The unit definitely knows now. But would the unit, whether it is the senior JCO or the battery commander, since this is an RT medium RT regiment, or the commanding officer. And both of you have been COs in your own time. Should the CO not have known if something was brewing in his regiment, Colonel Dev?
Right, Gaurav, just two perceptions there. One is, yes, there are many ways, there are many indicators, people feel it, people reveal it. But I have been through many case studies. When I was commanding, I was under 9 Corps, and we attended a seminar when the army was very serious into suicide and fratricide cases. That time, a lot of case studies came up.
Yes.
And I, as a commanding officer, while I was just attending there, I asked a question of my Corps commander that time, General Bhalla, and I was very clear to ask him that, sir, you showed me 11 case studies. Tell me, how did you discern that it's a case of a person going to commit suicide? Because A, that revelation is not very, very obvious. B, in few cases, I asked the question, how are you terming it as a suicide and not as a murder? Because
okay, but that's suicide related.
So
I want to remain restricted on fratricide for the moment.
I'll tell you one point of worry I have today. 2 days, a weapon missing with ammunition is the biggest cause to worry which I have as an ex-military commander. If it is missing, and we know that there's an FIR in the Civi Street also about that, there ought to have been in all stations, all units, all subunits, all sub-subunits, a thorough check of your kit and everything else to find out that particular weapon. Because finally, if that's the weapon used for this fratricide or that incident, it has come out in the vicinity from where the action has revealed itself. So that is my first point of concern, that what were the actions taken to find that rifle and that ammunition.
No, because usually the mentality is, daba do khabar ko. Don't let
they don't do that. No. But don't get me wrong. If that was the intention, there wouldn't have been no revelation to the police 2 days ago about a weapon gone missing. So I hear from my sources that it was revealed to the police that the weapon is missing because they were having the apprehension that somebody must have picked it up from somewhere and taken it out to the Civi Street. So I don't know from where it was picked up, because it is very, very difficult to pick up today a weapon from the unit, because 99% of the units and the formations have got CCTV camera coverage 24/7.
Absolutely, which is the way it should be. But Manjeet, the police are very clear.
The army reported the case.
Excuse me, Manjeet, the police are very clear. The police are very clear. This is not terror related. The police are very clear. No one came from outside. On what basis are the police saying this and saying this on record?
Well, Gaurav, the police has already ruled out that this was not a terror attack. But the question is, even if it was a fratricidal incident, then who was involved? Why these people were covering their faces? What was the motive behind? And if they managed to steal the INSAS rifle, then what was the motive? Was there some internal feud going on? So this is what the police and the army authorities are now investigating. As these two men are still at large, it's still not known. As General Sir was telling us that a roll call will reveal whether any of the military personnel were missing. That will reveal whether this was a fratricidal incident or not. A court martial will also lead to that investigation and find out the truth. But the big question is how these men, even if they were outsiders, managed to enter a highly protected military station. And what was the motive?
General, so overall it's very clear. Somewhere down the line, the SOPs were not being followed.
Gaurav, very difficult to say. Even the FIR that has been lodged, as what the police says, it's on Tuesday evening. It's only Wednesday morning that the incident has occurred. So the weapon lost also was probably being investigated by the regiment to find out where it was. And only when they would have found that it's not located now, they must have lodged an FIR, knowing well how the terrorism and the kinds of incidents that can happen anywhere else. So it was more to be on the safe side. It's better to lodge an FIR if you have not been able to find the weapon within the regiment. Lodge an FIR, which I'm told they lodged it. And that's how on Tuesday evening, the police says that they had an FIR. But whatever it may be, for all you know, those two men may still be within the regiment, having joined without anybody getting to know what's happened. Because it was 4:30 in the morning, they've shot, they've killed all 4 people, and they may have again rejoined the same unit without anybody knowing what it is. So unless every man is being investigated, I'm sure everybody must have been investigated in this case, you will find it is not difficult to know who's done it and from where, as long as there is no conspiracy theory, as long as no terrorist related incident, as long as there's no outsider involved. It's an insider job where an aberration, which should not have happened, has happened. Very, very unfortunate. That will be found out. Investigations are on. And as Rohit rightly says, I think by tomorrow or day after, everything will be out as to what exactly
If
has
somebody's fired a weapon, there would be residue on their fingers. Or if only those scientific tests are being carried out on ground, they would know if a person has changed his from plain clothes to uniform and is still there inside the unit. But only if that process is being followed, perhaps we'll know more. I have breaking news that's coming in, and this is from across the border in Pakistan. News just coming in. Pakistani news channel Bol News marketing head Akash Ram was abducted outside his residence early Tuesday. The marketing head of Bol News was abducted in a silver-colored vehicle, and this vehicle was seen taking rounds outside the news channel's office. We are getting some reactions on the abduction of another Hindu in Pakistan, Akash Ram, the marketing head. Let's quickly listen into reactions that are coming in.
मुसलमान मुझे बच्चो हिंदू पर आए थे जो आन पाकिस्तानी मूंखे महिरबानी करे पंहिंजो आकाश वापसि कयो तव्हांजी महिरबानी थींदी वॾी हितां जा मुसलमान मुंहिंजो बच्चो हिंदू पर आए थे जो आन पाकिस्तानी मुंहिंजो पुटु आकाश मूंखे वापसि कयो मूंखे कल्ह खां ॾाढो यादि थो मुझे बच्चों कल का ना आयो। 8 बजे हम सो रहे थे, मेरे छोटे बेटे ने फोन किया, मम्मा आकाश को कोई उठा के लेके चला गया है। हम सुबह 8 बजे से अभी तक परेशान हैं, कोई मेरे बेटे का पता नहीं लगा है। मेहरबानी करके मेरे बेटे का पता लगाओ, मेरा बेटा कहाँ है, आखिर क्यों उठाया गया उसको, वो बेगुनाह है। मेरे बेटे को मेरे पास लेके आओ, मेहरबानी करो, मेरा बेटा मुझे वापस करो। कल से मेरा बेटा घूमे, ऐसा क्यों है, ऐसा क्यों होता है इस मुल्क में, कौन सा हमारा कसूर है। मेरा बेटा मुझे वापस करो, मुझे आकाश चाहिए और कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए। आकाश चाहिए।
A mother's desperate cry for help in Pakistan. But will the police investigate this in Pakistan? We'll track that story very closely, but that is all I have time for on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching. Coming up next is Sakshi Batra with Business Today. Stay with us.
Explain it? How do you explain the fact that you find yourself, as I said, in the midst of a very acrimonious political battle? You're being accused in a way of entering Karnataka to finish Nandini, according to the Congress.
So it's actually wrong information being spread for Amul, as well as the relationship we enjoy with Nandini, and that's what has caused all this. But that's why if we can talk about the facts about the relationship we enjoy and the cooperation we've been doing, actually it will solve most of the problems. Fact number one, our entry into Karnataka fresh milk market is not new. In North Karnataka, Hubli, Belgaum, we've been selling Amul milk and dahi and buttermilk since 2015-16. So the entry into Bangalore only with a limited purpose of selling our products at our prices only through e-commerce channel can actually do nothing to Nandini. And the managing director of Nandini also has admitted that Amul cannot make any dent in Nandini's business in the Bangalore market. Second, Amul continues to make ice creams using Karnataka Nandini's milk, using their plants and facilities, and we've been doing this since 1998. Yesterday also 30,000 liters of ice cream was packed at 3 of their plants and sold in Karnataka and rest of South India. I cannot comment on the criticism because those people who are trolling us or participating in these hashtag movements are perhaps our customers, if not currently, the potential ones. So I'll not get into that space of the debate which is happening.
But effectively is Amul saying we will enter markets across the country, there is no space for protectionism, and we will compete with local brands. Am I correct? That you are effectively, why not accept that you are competing with a local brand and there is enough space for both?
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's why we are there. I mean, you can see the Taste of India logo behind me, and Amul Doodh Pita India is a phrase which the whole country resonates with. The point here is that if you are competing, see, typically in Bombay, Delhi, all milk brands sell milk at almost the same price. In Karnataka, that option is not available. And that's why we chose the e-commerce route, that people who want to try Amul products will find it through this niche. So it's a niche launch, niche marketing effort, but just to get a presence in that market. It's not a foothold, it's not to gain market share.
So even if there is a Congress government next month in Karnataka, you believe that Amul will continue to spread in Karnataka and will be there along with Nandini?
I cannot talk about the election results or the political environment, but fact remains that every single state of the country, irrespective of whatever government is there, Amul continues to exist and coexist with the respective brands of the respective states. So I see no reason in saying that irrespective of whatever happens, Amul will be there to serve the interests of the consumers of Karnataka and the farmers of the Karnataka state.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Business Today show. I'm Sakshi Batra. First up, the top news we're tracking for you tonight. Exclusive reports from France and Italy as India reboots its trade ties with France and Italy. Business Today Television's Karishma Sudani brings you the latest ground report as Piyush Goyal engages with Rome in the second leg of his Euro trip. TCS kicks off the results season, misses street estimates with a 5% quarterly rise in the net profits, revenue up 2% over the last quarter, declares a final dividend of 24 rupees per share. Indian equity indices extend gains for the 8th straight session on positive global and domestic cues. Investors eye inflation data from the US and India. Pharma and healthcare indices top the gains, while PSU banks, media and FMCG indices settle lower. Consumer price inflation moderates significantly to 5.66% in the month of March. Big fall in food price rise. Vegetables are cheaper, while cereals and milk products are still costlier. Markets regulator SEBI sports a new look on its 35th Foundation Day, unveils a new logo, says it reflects the aspirations of a new and modern nation. India loses a doyen of the industry. Keshav Mahindra passes away at the age of 99. Death of the former Mahindra chairman is condoled by business leaders from Ratan Tata to Deepak Parekh. Straight on to the first story we're tracking for you. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has moved to Rome for the second leg of his 3-day European tour. He had a number of power-packed meetings in Paris on Tuesday, Business Today Television's Karishma Sudani is part of the delegation and also spoke to the minister on the key takeaways from his Paris engagements. Here's an excerpt from the exclusive conversation.
Television, we are joining with the man of the moment, Union Minister of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Piyush Goyal. Sir, we are here at the India-France Business Summit, followed by which you also have another key bilateral meeting happening in Rome, Italy. How do you see this collaboration panning out as an opportunity for India?
Well, I think very clearly European countries are recognizing that India has arrived. The last decade has been one where we have reformed in significant measure, and as Prime Minister Modi says, we have reformed but with conviction, not out of compulsion. And this reform has now started to show in terms of the interest that companies and countries have in India. They recognize that today, India with a young population, with high aspirations, probably provides the biggest market opportunity that is available anywhere in the world. They recognize that a country where the basic needs of everybody have been well taken care of is a country where there will be demand for so many new goods and services which present a big opportunity. At the same time, with India's high managerial talent, skilled manpower, affordable costs, and scale of operation that we can offer, India becomes a very competitive manufacturing or service provider. In that sense, people are looking up to India to invest greater degree of capital. They are looking to set up bases in India, both for design, for innovation, for manufacturing on the one end, and for provision of services to their international operations. So each one of the companies, and I've had so many bilaterals through the length of the day. I've had a business summit, which in the course of the day, we had very good attendance. Nearly 300-400 companies attended and engaged with Indian companies and have expressed interest in expanding business and trade with India. We've had a CEO roundtable with about 40 top companies. All of this gives me the confidence that France certainly is a country to watch out for in terms of our ability to scale up. I'm confident about Italy also, given the level of interest that has been shown to the impending visit to Rome.
Right. So due to the current geopolitical situation, there has been some kind of fear, I'd say, on the global demand, especially if you see the FDI has been also on a decline. Do you see this as a challenge persistently?
Well, I think all over the world, there's been a softening of investments and trade. Fortunately,